People often say that young people are the leaders of tomorrow. It's important that we as young people are listened to by adults, so our opinions, concerns and perspectives are taken into account when they make decisions which will affect our future. And that's where UNCROC comes in. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Child aims to highlight the rights we as young people have as valued members of society.
November 20th, 2010 marks the 21st anniversary of the United Nations adoption of UNCROC, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. New Zealand UNICEF Youth Ambassadors explore what this means today.
Hi, I'm Ashreya Devuru, and I'm one of the 4 UNICEF Year of Youth Ambassadors for the year 2010. One of my main goals this year was to raise awareness in Kiwi kids about child rights worldwide. For this reason, I travelled to Willow Park Primary School to interview a class of Year 6 students to see what child rights meant to them.
Children have the right to be protected by others because there's a lot of bad people on the planet that could harm you. But since children aren't old enough to protect themselves, then they have to be protected by others.
I think that children should be free and not a slave working 24/7 a day for someone else, because if I was, I would be tired and I would be sad and really lonely.
Children have the right to live in a home with family and water to drink. I think this is an important right because without it, a lot of us will get sick and ill in the poorer countries.
No one has the right to be taken away without a good reason.
I think children should have health and safety because without it, you're dead. Every child should have a family and friends. I like this one because no one should be left out.
One of the main reasons I actually chose to speak with younger children is to kind of find out the foundation that we have as a generation and to see in which direction we're moving. And I think meeting with the class that I did gave me a lot of hope for the future.
We have the right to be a kid!
Kia ora, my name is Frankie Mazin and I'm one of 4 UNICEF New Zealand Year of Youth Ambassadors. In this video I'll be discussing with you how children's rights are affected by being brought up in abusive families. The survival and development of the child. For example, Bernardo's, UNICEF, Child Youth and Family Services, as well as counselling services. There's social workers, youth workers, and there's the Child and Human Rights Commission. But how effective are these really? I mean, we've had so many cases of child abuse in New Zealand, for example, the Nia Glassy case, which leads me to interviewing Rhonda Hoffman, the Bernardo's Child Advocate for Southland.
There are 5 main direct effects. First one is like the emotional, where children experience feelings of anger and fear and anxiety, worry, that kind of stuff. The second is the interpersonal effects, which is social and relationships. Behavioural is the next one, which is a big one. We can have aggressive behaviour, truancy, but you've also got things like your eating disorders. Then you've got your cognitive effects, which is like the minimisation of what's going on and the actual violence that's happening. Then you've got your physical effects, which can be like affecting sleep, bedwetting, somatic pains. Children affected by family violence, it affects all aspects of their lives, especially children that are exposed to violence between the ages of 0 and 3, because that's when their brain is actually developing and that will impact on them for the rest of their lives. Many of our children die, and many are left with permanent and long-term injuries such as shaken baby syndrome. A lot of our young people struggle to develop healthy relationships. Now that can be in childhood and adulthood. Children affected by family violence never never go to their full potential in education and employment and creativity. But I think the biggest impact is that too many children that have been affected by family violence either become victims or abusers themselves. You see, children are seen as secondary or independent citizens, so their rights are represented and advocated by their parents or caregivers. So of course the assumption breaks down when those parents or caregivers are actually abusing those children. So I think if there was one thing I could change, it would be an unlimited pool of money that families and children affected by family violence can access.
However, the reality is that we do not have an unlimited pool of money. So what now?
Hi there, I'm Jonathan G, UNICEF Youth Ambassador based on Auckland's North Shore. New Zealand became part of UNCROC in 1993. UNCROC states that all young people under the age of 18 have the right to participate in decision making. UNCROC recognises our rights to express our opinions and to have our opinions considered in decisions which affect us. So how is New Zealand doing on the world stage in terms of UNCROC and youth participation? What do the politicians think about youth participation? Do they really care? I put these questions to Jacinda Ardern, a Member of Parliament and the Labour Party spokesperson on youth affairs. And tell us a bit about yourself and your involvement in youth participation.
Youth affairs could really cover just such a wide range of issues. I think it's an incredibly important portfolio because it means I have an opportunity to make sure young people's voices are heard.
In terms of all decision makers, do you think they really care about UNCROC and the rights of a child?
I do. They may not be specifically based necessarily on the principles of UNCROC perhaps, but just as a general principles probably, although I think it's incredibly important to have them reinforced by something like UNCROC.
By ratifying UNCROC in 1993, New Zealand agreed that youth participation is a right. But what is youth participation? Why does it matter? And do decision makers really care about young people's views? Why do you think youth participation in the decision making process as stated in UNCROC is so important?
We are, as decision makers, we're making decisions that have long-term effects. So take for example the debate around alcohol that we're having in New Zealand at the moment. A lot of that debate has focused on young people, but very little of that debate has included young people themselves. It's a lot of adults speaking on behalf of young people or making an assessment of young people's behaviour, and I would really like to see a debate like that involving young people themselves.
Here in New Zealand, we're so lucky to have so many opportunities to have our voices heard by the people in power. Organisations such as youth councils, youth wings to political parties, student representatives to the Board of Trustees and even UNICEF all provide us with opportunities to be heard. Do you actually think that young people in New Zealand are going to great lengths to participate in the decision making process?
Research shows us that young people, although they may understand the political systems in New Zealand, one of the reasons they choose not to vote is because they don't feel well enough informed about the issues. Now I think politicians have a bit of a role to play there in making sure that young people have a chance to meet with them, talk with them, but in a two-way approach, not just telling them what's going on but seeking their view, but at the same time then it's up to young people to take up that opportunity and actually participate as well.
The more people see us young people getting out and about being passionate members of society, the more they will value our opinions, perspectives and concerns. So what are you waiting for? It's as easy as that. Get your voices heard today.
You will want to take action on an issue because you feel strongly about it. Being passionate is nothing if you don't have the research to back it up. People often say there is strength in numbers. Getting involved with like-minded people will make you a force to reckon with. The more creative it is, the more likely your message will attract people. Don't forget to share your experiences, spread the word.